The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users, on demand on iTunes and on YouTube, and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you can post your comments, agree with yours truly or not. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. Welcome to the show. And before we get started, a little tip of the hat to Jay Leno, who is going to be putting on a free show at the Palace of Auburn Hills, Michigan, for all the unemployed people here. The line stretched around the palace this morning for free tickets. And there were so many people in line, and they recognized that there were so many unemployed people who need a little entertainment in their lives here in Detroit, where the show is emanating from where the show is emanating today, that they're going to put on a second show. And I say thank you and congratulations to Jay Leno for reaching out and helping people who are a little bit despondent. The largest unemployment rate in the United States is right here in Michigan. Well, last week we were discussing on News Talk Online on Paltalk.com the flogging of a 75-year-old woman in Saudi Arabia because she associated with men who were not her relatives. When I condemned her sentence, I was challenged by those who felt I had no business speaking out about what is basically a cultural difference. Well, now the British government is saying that thousands of girls had female genital mutilation processes forced upon them in the United Kingdom. There have been no prosecutions. Well, if I have to respect someone else's cultural differences, then they have to respect mine. And my culture tells me that the flogging of 75-year-old women and performance of female genital mutilation should be opposed. So oppose them I will. Why, in the name of cultural diversity, do we allow these kinds of human rights violations to go unchallenged? And where is the feminist movement? Largely silent. Why, if a man is making more than his female co-worker, do we hear from the feminist movement? But these issues fall on deaf ears. Are we going to allow these kinds of travesties to take place against women in the West because the cultural traditions have migrated here with people from other places in the world? What about the stoning to death of girls who have been raped? Now, that's a cultural tradition in some places in the world. You can continue criticizing me, as I'm sure some of you will during this segment of the show. That's fine, but I will not be silenced about this or any other human rights violation that comes to my attention. What do you think about all this? Am I right or am I wrong about this? Cassandra in the United Kingdom. Cassandra, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
I think you're absolutely right, Gary. 100%. And anybody criticizes you will also be criticizing me and many, many others who are in this chat forum at this particular point in time. The female genital mutilation that's occurring is nothing better than child abuse. It's totally and utterly unacceptable. It offends my cultural sensitivities. And you know, if this is happening in the UK, as it says in the Times article that you quoted, then I think, you know, I mean, we talk here about, you know, the atrocities that happen. We've had instances of child abuse, you know, where children sadly have died, and yet we see this going, you know, we see this going on, and obviously it's been recognised by our government that it's going on because Gordon Brown has seen to speak out against it. If they knew that it was going on, why on earth didn't they do something about it in the first place. Why on earth have they let it go on? It is totally and utterly unacceptable. It should not happen. If people wish to conduct themselves like this, if it is the norm in their country, then maybe they should remain in their countries and deal with that, but not bring it into this country. And certainly, in no way should it be condoned by this. The children should, in this sort of situation, where this sort of abuse happens, should be taken into care and put in a place of safety and removed from the adults who perpetrate this sort of total abuse on them. I'm absolutely horrified by it. I've always been horrified by this particular action, but to hear of it happening in my country is totally unacceptable. We go down a very, very rocky road when we agree with this sort of thing or allow it to go on. In the name of political correctness, it means that the tail begins to wag the dog of the British public and the sensitivities in our countries. Thank you, Gary. And I could go on and on.
Apparently so. Thank you for that, Cassandra. Well, I'll tell you, I will take it a step beyond your perspective to say that I will object to it no matter where it happens. Doesn't have to be in your country or mine. A human rights violation against one is a human rights violation against all. Between 100 and 130 million women or girls, some of them are not yet women, have this procedure forced upon them around the world every year. 100 to 130 million. But there are those who would say, well, it's not your culture, Gary. You have no right to speak out against it. Let's go to Rachel in Louisiana. Rachel, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Yes, this is indeed a very sad situation. Very hard to comprehend that many young women, young girls, actually children, are being put through this type of what you want to call it. I don't know. It's horrible. I think that I'm glad that Gordon Brown spoke out against it, but I wonder what needs to be done for this type of abuse to stop. Children all over, are being abused in one way or another, and that's what's so sad to me. It's not only the children, though. It's the like the elderly too. The children, the elderly, the innocent, the ones that cannot stand up and protect themselves, that basically have no voice. Who's going to be their voice for them? Who's going to speak out for them? Who's going to say enough's enough? Gary, I'm glad that you are in this show, and I'm glad that Gordon Brown did, and I think that the more people that speak out and say, no, this is unacceptable, when you do